Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to start a new reading vlog and I hope you can excuse that my face is kind of shiny. I just put on moisturizer and I have to go to work in a second, and this is with like SPF, so it always looks a little bit shiny. I'm sorry for that. But this reading vlog is gonna be reading some historical fiction about glamorous women. And I have two books that I got and I thought they would be perfect for this. And then one book just came out and I'm listening to it on audiobook and I think it will kind of fit in. It does not focus exclusively on women, but I still feel like it's gonna be a good match for this reading vlog. So the two books that actually inspired me and that I'm so excited to read. The first one is Wild Woman and the Blues by Denny S. Bryce. This cover is what drew me into this book immediately. I think it's the most stunning cover ever and I'm very excited to read this. So this seems to be in a dual timeline. So we have a timeline in 1925 in Chicago and then a timeline in 2015, and I think the 2015 timeline is kind of doing a movie about the 1925 timeline. I'm not so sure, but that's what I gather from the back, and I'm just so excited to read this book. And I do like to go into my books blind, so I'm not reading anything else there. And then the other book I got for my birthday from one of my friends. This is Elizabeth Gilbert, City of Girls, and also, I mean, the cover is very pretty as well. I haven't read an Elizabeth Gilbert book before, but I know that my friend who gifted me this book really loves the author, so I'm quite excited about it. And this is set in 1940s New York and follows probably two girls. I see Vivian and Celia here. So yeah, it's also like the 20s and the kind of 40s, 50s are like my favorite times to read about. I think it's very intriguing. And then the last book I have just started is Malibu Rising by Jenkins Reid. Again, this is kind of told in a dual timeline style. So you follow this family, the Rivas. And I think it's kind of funny because the family actually ties into the Evelyn Hugo universe, because Mick Riva, the kind of family father, was the third husband of Evelyn Hugo, I believe. I don't really remember that because it's been too long, but I've read about it on Goodreads, so I think that's kind of fun. But basically we're following the children of Mick Riva. I think it's 4 children, and this is set during one night or one day where at night there's a big party and something terrible happens at the party and you're kind of leading up to that. But at the same time you get flashbacks to the youth of Mick Riva before he became a very famous singer and when he met his first wife. I just forgot her name. I just listened to it, I don't know. But yeah, this is the third book I want to read for this readathon, or like reading vlog, sorry. And as I said, I have just started Malibu Rising, and so I thought I'd say a couple of words about it already. So I have listened to about an hour and a half, I believe, so I'm not that far in. I think right now it's like 9 or 10 a.m. in the book, and so far I'm really enjoying it. I do love the writing style. I think that Jenkins Reid has a very particular way to write, and I really love seeing that. She has these like sentences that she drops in at the end of paragraphs that are just really intriguing and powerful. So far we have met the 4 children. I will probably mess up their names because they have little weird names. So I think Nina is the main character. She is, I think, 25, married to a tennis player, professional one, and he just left her. And she's the one hosting the party. Then we have the eldest son, I have no idea, Jay? Something like that. And he is a professional surfer. Then we have the youngest child is Kit, I believe, and she is a daughter, and she's also a surfer, and I feel like she's kind of like the kind of forgotten one. She's the youngest. She had never had a like romantic relationship and stuff like that. And then the second son, I cannot remember his name, but he is secretly dating the ex of his brother, and they're thinking about telling everyone at the party. So yeah, there's that, and then you get like the kind of backstory of like in the 50s when Mick Riva met his first wife, obviously when she wasn't his wife yet, and how he wooed her. And yeah, so far I like it. I am enjoying it. I have seen very mixed reviews. Some people giving it 2 or 3 stars, which is really low for Taylor Jenkins Reid, and other people really liking it. So I'm just intrigued where I fall with that, and I will keep you updated, definitely. So I have listened to some more of Malibu Rising. I have about 8 hours left now of the audiobook, and I think it's very interesting because the Mick character really reminds me of the husband of the like Mrs. Maisel show thing, you know. The whole dynamic kind of reminds me of Mrs. Maisel. Obviously June is a very different character from Mrs. Maisel, but I think the whole like setup is very, very similar. It really reminded me of that, and it's kind of like what would have happened if Mrs. Maisel wasn't so resilient. So yeah, I think that's very interesting. There are some very interesting parallels, and also the accent the narrator does for Mick is like spot on the accent of the actor who plays that husband. So yeah, it's very, very interesting, and so far I'm enjoying it. I think that, you know, it's a kind of like, I think if you're into these kind of like stories in the like 60s, 70s, 80s, I think that is interesting. Obviously that's kind of a niche thing, and if you're not interested in these people's lives, you won't enjoy this book. But yeah, so far I'm getting what I expected, and I'm intrigued to see where it goes. I'm now in the noon chapter, so we're still, you know, we have a long way to go till the party. But yeah, I think it's intriguing. I think that, you know, learning about the kind of secrets of the children as well is very interesting. And yeah, I'm just enjoying the audiobook, really. It's very easy to listen to, and I'll keep you updated. So I listened to some more of my audiobook Malibu Rising, and I have passed the 5-hour mark, so I have less than 5 hours left now, and the party has just started. So we kind of left the whole preparation and kind of flashback stuff, I think, behind, and now we're going into the current timeline with the party and see how it escalates. And yeah, I'm really intrigued to see how the 2 parts of the book fit together. But yeah, my favorite characters are Nina and Kit. I think they're very interesting, and I'm ready to see what happens to them now. So I have about 3 hours left of Malibu Rising. So we're in the middle of the party now, and at the first, I wasn't quite sure how I felt about the party, because we get a lot of like little excursions about random people at that party, and I felt like that was a little bit too much. Like I would have thrown those out because I wasn't really sure what the point was. But now we're back to kind of the main story, and we've had a couple of revelations that I'm not going into because of spoilers, but I think that so far like everything makes sense, and you definitely feel that kind of doom that, you know, this party is definitely going wrong with all the stuff that is happening right now. And so one thing I wanted to talk about now is that we learn at the beginning of the novel that Nina has been left by her husband, and we now get a little bit of the backstory and his perspective on it, and then also we get kind of a confrontation scene with the woman that he had an affair with, that he left his wife for. And I really liked that scene. I really, really liked it. You have 3 very, like, interesting female characters in that situation, and then the husband right in the middle, kind of. And I really like the dynamic of these 3 women, because you can tell from the way that this conversation goes that the husband really doesn't need to be there, that this is kind of like, yeah, the woman figuring it out. I don't know how to explain it, but yeah, I really like that scene. I really like the perspective of that woman. I think that this is a very important perspective, even though in this case she's kind of like the bad person, because you know, she had an affair with a married man. But I think that her character and the way that she's treated because of her character is still a very important depiction, because you could say that she doesn't behave like a woman. And obviously that, yeah, that is something that comes to haunt her, because people don't see her as a woman. So yeah, I really, really like that. I think that was a good portrayal, and I'm glad that she got a voice in this. So yeah, as I said, about 3 hours to go, and I'm really interested to see what is the thing that, you know, pushes it all over the edge. I mean, we have a couple of like very tense situations now. A lot of people that are angry at other people, and the question is, you know, what's the thing? Like, maybe one small spoiler. So if you have not read this book, I will mark the spoiler part right now, and you can just jump ahead, so you can skip it. But we had a scene a little bit before what I just talked about, where we learn that Mick Riva, the father, is actually on his way to the party, and that kid invited him. And yeah, this is very, very concerning to me. I don't have a great relationship with my father, so there's always a little bit of a touchy subject, something that makes me scared when there's, you know, a kind of broken father-daughter relationship. So I'm a bit worried, but also very interested what's gonna happen when he gets to the party. So yeah, I am back into loving this story. I think that a little bit of the beginning of part 2 was my favorite, but now, you know, things are getting heated up, and that's what I'm here for. So we'll see about it. Okay, so I'm almost done with Malibu Rising. I must say that I still enjoy it. I feel like it never really got the groove for me, but I do enjoy listening to it, and I think it will end up being a 4-star read for me, which is totally fine. I'm having a good time listening to it. I do like the character development of Nina. Now there's a gardener outside. I think her development is very interesting, and I'm excited to kind of see where that ends up. Because yeah, she definitely, I like that she even refers to herself as a doormat at some point, which I always like that this expression for a person who, you know, lets all the other people walk all over her. So yeah, I'm intrigued to see where we end up, and I will let you know more when I finish the book. So I am here to tell you that this morning I finished Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I decided to give it 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. As I mentioned before, I really liked Nina as a main character, and I really liked the exploration of family, what family is, what you should do and shouldn't do for and to your family, basically. I really liked the way the sibling relationships were portrayed in this book, and yeah, I just thought that it was a very interesting take on a kind of toxic family dynamic. I did really like the ending, I must say. I think that's one thing I notice with Taylor Jenkins Reid's books, that I usually do enjoy the ending, because they are not what you would expect, but they're also not like way out there. And so yeah, it just really worked for me at the end. I still think that a couple of these scenes at the party, I would have just edited out. They didn't add anything to the party. They only added more characters that I could not remember, because I'm really bad with remembering names anyway. But when I listen to an audiobook, it's even worse. So even characters that were important, sometimes I wasn't quite sure what their names were. So yeah, that was just confusing to me, and so I just wouldn't have added that in, I guess. And apart from that, yeah, I just didn't feel like the same kind of 5-star connection that I did with The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. I think that even though I did enjoy Nina as a character and she has an amazing kind of development and arc, I still don't think she quite compares to Evelyn Hugo. Nobody probably ever will. So yeah, if you don't mind reading about rich people, and I don't want to say rich people problems, because they have like actual problems. This family for a long stretch of time is actually not wealthy. If you care for that at all, if you like complex and kind of toxic family relationships, but then also like really great family relationships, I think this is an interesting book to pick up. And I really liked the messages at the end. I just really liked how this family kind of found these strengths to define itself and make sure that, you know, they considered the people family who actually were, you know, worthy of it. So yeah, I enjoyed it. 4 stars. The audiobook was really good. Now I have 2 more books I want to read for this reading vlog. I will actually, I think, take a break for now and probably not pick up the next one of those for a while, but you won't notice that in this vlog, so I'll talk to you soon. Don't mind me being a sweaty mess. I just did my workout, but today I'm gonna start reading City of Girls. I wanted this to be the second book for this reading vlog, and I'm also reading it with a friend. Actually, the friend who gave me the book, her name is Sabrina. She had a booktube channel as well, but for now she's not posting. I might still link it below if you're interested, because her older videos are still fun to watch. But yeah, we're buddy reading this book, and this is the kind of first portion that we wanted to read, and then we'll do a quick check-in. It's the first time for me reading this book, but she's actually rereading it, so it will be fun to discuss with someone who's already read the whole story, I guess. So yeah, I'm intrigued. We'll see. I only know that this is set in the 1940s in New York, and I love the cover, like all these girls chilling in the sun. I would love to chill in the sun, but the weather is not cooperating. So I have read the first 100 pages. I think I've read the first 7 chapters right now, yes, of City of Girls. And so far I'm really enjoying this book. I really like the narrative voice of this book, because we are getting told this story in retrospective. So the main character is already an old woman when she is starting to tell us her life story in form of a letter to someone else that we don't really know who that is yet. We just know that it is the daughter of someone who was important to the main character when she was younger. So yeah, I really like that kind of dual perspective thing. It reminds me of The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, where you have an older character telling someone, a younger woman, about her life. And that way it really feels like the author is talking to you in a way. And I think it's very clever as well, because at the beginning the main character would be very unlikable if you wouldn't have that kind of retrospective perspective on it, because now she can reflect on how she was a bit silly and didn't really care about things and didn't understand that she was super privileged. But yeah, if you're in the mind of a character who is like that, I guess it gets more annoying. So yeah, that's one thing I really like about the book. Then I also think the characters are quite intriguing. So we follow this girl who is from a rich family, and she has had a very, very good relationship with her grandmother, who taught her to sew, I think the word is. I never really know how to say it in English, but she's very good at making dresses for herself and also for other people. And she was in a private school for girls, and then she was supposed to go to college, but she didn't really care. And now her parents have sent her to live with her aunt in New York, where she lives in this theater that her aunt runs and is kind of friends with all of these showgirls there now. And she has a very special friendship with a girl called Celia, and they're kind of like really close friends from the start, basically. And I think the main character is really infatuated with Celia and glamorizes and romanticizes her a lot. And yeah, right now we're just reading about their kind of adventures, I guess. So it's also a lot about sex, a lot about partying, and just living that carefree life when you're 19 years old. So yeah, I'm intrigued to see where this goes, but so far I'm really loving the book, and I'm glad that my friend Sabrina gave it to me for my birthday and we're reading it together now. So that's a lot of fun. So I have just read about 200 pages in City of Girls. I just finished chapter 14, which got quite sexy, to be honest, and I'm still enjoying this book a lot. Now, I think what this book does quite well is change the tone quite quickly so that it never gets boring. You are following the main character in her life in 1940 in New York, and it's all very dazzling and exciting to live through. But if all the same stuff happens again and again and again, it would be kind of a boring tale. So I think what this book does really, really well is changing that up. So you kind of see the time frame, you see that this is the kind of life she has for like 2 months in a row or something like that, but it's not repeating itself all the time. And so I am still very much enjoying this. It is in a way what I expected, and in a way it is very unexpected for me. And so yeah, we have now met a special person for the main character, and they have a romance, and I'm quite intrigued to see where that goes. Also in this part now it became clear what the title of the book is. So City of Girls is actually the title of the play that they are gonna put on in the theater that our main character is currently living in. I'm very intrigued to see where that goes, because I guess since the book is called City of Girls, the play will be like the main focus, and then all of the kind of relationships that form around it and all the drama and stuff. I'm very glad that we now get a couple of male characters that are actually likable, because the first couple of male characters that really stand out are just bad. Like, they're so weird. Not that they're written in a bad way, but they're intentionally bad. So you have that kind of vet. It's a hilarious thing, you just have to read it. But the vet is like such a weird man, talking about his wife while he's cheating on her, basically. And then we also have very prominently the husband of Edna, who is very, very good looking, but a very, very stupid. So yeah, and then there's also the writer. He's also a funny guy, because he was a lawyer, but for some reason he can't be a lawyer anymore. He's not allowed. So he is now the writer for the plays, but he's like just this depressed person. And so yeah, it's nice to now have male characters that actually are a little bit more than that, are more interesting and more intriguing. And yeah, so I'm having lots of fun reading this book. I'm almost halfway through by now, so that's also exciting. And I keep you updated. So I just smashed the 300-page mark in City of Girls. I haven't been reading for a while. It was really, really stressful, so I was a little bit out of it. But I just found my groove back, basically. So I'm not quite sure what my last update was all about, but the last couple of chapters were quite interesting, to say the least. Now, we have basically seen the way the main character started to act in New York, and so far it has all been kind of like fun and games, like a little bit of a growing up story and coming of age and, finding yourself in the 1940s. But now the last couple of chapters, things have escalated quite a bit. So first of all, it's a lot about this play, City of Girls, which is also where the name comes from. And I did really, really like the kind of theater vibes, I really like books about theater and about productions and the kind of behind the scenes of the stage stuff. So I really had a good time with that. But with the play, we also get a character that is very important to the story somehow. So, the threads of the story are definitely picking up now. And so in the last chapters, we have just learned of kind of like a very life-changing event that will basically change the whole trajectory of the story, I guess. And the last chapter I've read had this confrontational theme. It is chapter 20, the ending of that. Very confrontational, and basically the main character is like kicked to the ground verbally and left there to die. So yeah, I'm very intrigued to see how this story progresses. I think it's very interesting to have this change of tone at around this kind of like a little bit more than halfway mark. So yeah, I'm intrigued to see where this goes, because obviously we have the main character telling this story from her older self's perspective, so it's kind of like retrospective. And so we know that the main character does eventually get to be a more well-rounded person, I guess, than we see here with her 20-year-old self. And I'm intrigued to see how much of that we will see throughout the rest of the novel now, and how the different relationships will evolve. Also, what I wanted to say is that I was very happy and also a little bit surprised to see that there is a female-female relationship in this book. I'm not going to say who it is because it comes into play just around the middle of the book. And yeah, that just made me happy. We'll see. It is very hidden because obviously it's set in the 1940s. But I like that because these are theater people, they're all a little bit more relaxed about stuff like that. So overall, still really enjoying this, even though I had to take a bit of a break because of life stress. And I hope that I can finish the rest of this book in the next couple of days. So in the bathtub, I just passed the 400-page mark in City of Girls. So I am nearing the end. This has just under 500 pages. Again, this book was at a weird place when I talked about it last, and I wasn't really sure where it was going. It was going in all kinds of directions. So yeah, it's very hard to predict what's happening. I really enjoy the process of reading it because of that. And now in these like final chapters, we actually breathe through time quite a bit. So I think it was quite a smart choice to not go into the wartime too much. So that was kind of skipped over a little bit, and you just hear what the main character was doing, but it's not like a really big part of the book, which I think is smart. And then now we're in like the 50s and 60s, and she's going through that quite quickly as well, and there is a couple of twists and turns, but I just really like how casually the author manages to give us little glimpses into what happened with some of the characters that we have lost track of now because of the time moving so quickly for us. And yeah, I'm still not quite sure where this is going, so I'm excited to read the last couple of pages now. I think I have about 70 or 80 maybe. I don't know how to talk about this without spoilers, but basically there is a child now. I'm not gonna say where the child came from, but it exists. And I don't know what to make of that. I don't know what will happen and what the reason for that is, how it serves the story. That's the one thing that I'm like very unsure about. But yeah, I'm just enjoying reading this so much. So I'm very happy that this was gifted to me because I guess I probably wouldn't have picked it up anytime soon. But now that I had it, it was very convenient. So yep, gonna keep reading now. So last night I finished City of Girls by Elizabeth Gilbert. I decided to give this book 4 stars. I was kind of deciding between 4 and 4.5. I think that this is a very, very good historical fiction book. I think it's especially great for fans of The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo because there are quite a few similarities between the two books. And I really enjoyed it. I think that the kind of twist at the end is the one thing that wasn't that great for me. It's very hard to explain, but basically this book is written as a letter from an older woman to a younger woman, and you know that the older woman is talking about... I have to watch the cat, she's being crazy right now. This older woman is talking about how she met the father of the younger woman, and as you read, you're not really sure who the father is of all the people that come up in this book. Also, the title, I don't know. I feel like this book... I told you she's crazy right now. I feel like this book just tries really hard to confuse you who the father is, and by doing that it makes a lot of the book not really make sense in the way it is written. And I was just thinking about Evelyn Hugo, where you also get Evelyn's whole life, even though you kind of have this one moment that is important at the end for the young woman she's talking to. But since it is framed as Evelyn telling her life story for an article, I still think it makes sense because the kind of confession part of it is just... it's not the reason for the conversation, while in this book it is. And so I felt like the way that a lot of the story doesn't have anything to do with the father person. Yeah, I don't know, it just felt like it wasn't in balance. So that's why I decided to give it 4 stars. There's also some other things that, some smaller things that I think could have been handled differently. But I also think that this book offers a lot of great things, I love the setting. I love that it has these theater vibes for quite a bit. I love that the main character is kind of like a naive, stupid girl, but since it is told in retrospective, she doesn't get annoying. That's something I really liked about this book. And yeah, I enjoyed the majority of it. I just felt like the ending then was rushed and out of balance with the rest of the story. And yeah, just the twist didn't really make a lot of sense to me from a storytelling point. So yeah, overall good book. If you like Evelyn Hugo, you will probably enjoy this one as well, because it is quite similar in some themes and also in the narration style. And yeah, would recommend this book if you're interested. So we have one more book for this vlog, which I don't know, I will probably take a break now because I don't want the books to be too similar and just all blend together for me, but for you, the last book will start in a second. I can't believe that I'm finally starting reading this book. It has been so long. Hello! It has almost been a year since I last talked to this vlog. But I have picked up the final book that I wanted to read for it, which is Wild Woman and the Blues by Denny S. Bryce. This is the final book for this vlog, so it's exciting. We are following two perspectives in this book. Sorry, this is a 1920s inspired, or a 1920s perspective, where we follow a woman called Reid who grew up poor, but she wants to become a famous dancer. So we follow her as she's making some progress to reach that goal. And in 2015, we follow a film student, Sawyer Hayes, who is researching a filmmaker from the 20s. And while he's doing that, he stumbles upon footage that shows Honoré, and so he wants to interview her to get some background knowledge about this filmmaker from the 20s. And so far, I'm almost 100 pages in. The overlap of these two storylines isn't that strong yet, which is a little bit sad. But I do like Honoré's story a lot so far. There has just been something that happened that was very traumatic and I did not see coming. So I'm very intrigued to see where the story progresses from there. I do like the writing style. We get Sawyer's chapters in first person and Honoré's in third person. And I would actually prefer it the other way around. I would like to have Honoré's first person. But yeah, that's just how it is told, I guess. And I am very much intrigued by the historical storyline. I don't really see intrigue in the now story so far. But yeah, this was a 5-star prediction for me, so I'm very excited to get into this book, and I will probably update you when I am a little bit further into it. So far I'm liking it, but I am not seeing it as a 5-star read yet, so I hope that it might redeem itself a little bit and get up there. But yeah, the cover is just gorgeous, so yeah, I'm intrigued to read more and I'll keep you updated. So I am halfway through the book now. I do think that this is a little bit different than what I expected when I picked it up. I thought this would be much more glamorous than it is. It's actually quite gritty and dark, so keep that in mind if you pick it up. The description of the book makes it sound like it is a very glamorous, kind of like Evelyn Hugo story, but so far it's definitely not. I think what bothers me the most about this book is the now timeline, like the 2015 timeline. It's not working for me at all. I do not care, and it just always rips me out of the story. I think that Honoré's story is quite interesting, and I do like following her. I do think she's an interesting main character. And I think this book portrays the kind of struggles and the like dangerous side to being ambitious as a woman, and especially as a Black woman during the time. So I do enjoy Honoré's story. I just wish we wouldn't get interrupted with Sawyer all the time. Apart from that, yeah, as I said, it's quite dark, it's quite gritty. Depending on how the ending goes, this will probably be like a 3.5 or 4-star read, which is disappointing because this was a 5-star prediction for me. I just love the cover of this book so much. So we'll see. I haven't really heard anyone talk about this book, so I went into this hoping for the best and expecting the best, to be honest. I think it is a solid read. We'll see how the two timelines connect in the end, but I just think I prefer it when there is some kind of a connection from the start. Like, obviously Sawyer is trying to interview Honoré when she's older, but it's not like she's telling him anything. You know, in Evelyn Hugo, you have the kind of narration style that Evelyn is actually telling her story. In this one, it's not. And yeah, it just bothers me. So that's a little bit unfortunate. But I do like the storyline of Honoré, and this is a debut. So maybe the next book of this author will be a little bit better in the writing department, if you know what I mean. So, we have come to the last clip of this vlog, finally, after a year or so. But I finished Wild Woman and the Blues, and I wanted to give you a quick update. Unfortunately, this was the book that I was most excited about in this reading vlog, and it is a bit of a disappointment. So this was a 5-star prediction for me, but in the end, I just gave it 3.5 stars. I was definitely expecting something else from this book. I thought this would be more like Evelyn Hugo, like really glamorous 20s, but with black main characters, and instead I got mobsters and gunfights. So that was a little bit unfortunate. I really felt like it missed the like glamorous part. So yeah, I just went in with like the wrong expectations, especially because of the cover of the book as well. Even though this cover is chosen quite well, because there is a scene where the character looks exactly like this, and it is described in the book, and you're like, oh my god, that's like the dress from the cover and stuff. So I think this cover is done really well, but it just gives you a little bit of a different impression of what this book would be about. Now, with the two storylines, I feel like it wasn't really done super well. With the 1920 storyline, we follow Honoré, and in the 2015 storyline, we follow Sawyer. But I felt like the connection of the two storylines was very weak, and in general, the 2015 storyline was super weak and should have been left out overall. I think if you would have cut that and just told the historical fiction story, it would have been so much better. That's something I don't say often, but I think what is making this very clear is the is it called epilogue? Yeah, the epilogue, what's in the back of the book, because the epilogue is set in the 1940s, and if the like now storyline would really be important, I don't think that would work as an epilogue. Apart from that, what I was really sad about with this book is that it completely spoils its own twists, and I did not understand why. Like, this was not an uninteresting story, but the way it was told and the way that there was like some foreshadowing, or that you would get information in the 2015 storyline that would totally spoil what will happen in the 20s storyline. I don't know. It just didn't work for me, and I did not understand why the author did that, because it just completely ruined the momentum of the story in the way. So yeah, that was really sad. And then we have the like the kind of final scenes with Honoré in the 2015 storyline. I don't want to spoil it, but like, she's a very old woman in this book because she was alive in the 20s. So yeah, we have this like final scene with her, and I did not feel anything just because of what the book does with her character, and what we figure out about her, like the kind of secret thing about her. It just made you not feel for her at all, because she's not the person that you think she is. Yeah, I don't want to spoil it. It's very hard to talk about, but I just felt like this book tried to do a twist, and it just made me disengage from the book, and that was very sad. That was really very sad. Still, I did enjoy the 20s storyline, and I think if I would have anticipated it to be a lot more violent, a lot more about mobsters and poverty, and you know, the struggles of Black people, and I wouldn't have thought that it would be like more glamorous and about the jazz age and about these like, yeah, more glamorous circles, which are in the book, but they're just not important at all. I think I would have enjoyed it lots more. Like, if you scrapped the whole 2015 storyline, just told the 20 storyline and made it clear what it is about, I would have really enjoyed this. But the way it was written, it was just a bit clunky, and it didn't do what I wanted it to. So yeah, that came across very negative. I still think that this is an interesting book, and I think it touches on interesting themes. It's a debut, and I hope that the next book from this author will be even better. So 3.5 stars. And that brings us to the end of this vlog. Definitely a weird one, because the book that I thought I would love the most, one, took me the longest to read, and two, was the lowest rated. So I gave Wild Woman and the Blues 3.5 stars, and that would probably be my least favorite of the bunch. Then I think I would rank, I don't even remember the titles, the Taylor Jenkins Reid book. What's it called? Malibu Rising, thank you. Okay, Malibu Rising would be on second place with 4 stars, but like weaker 4 stars, because I loved the historical aspects of it that were like more in the past, but then like the second part of the book got a little bit wonky. And on the first place would be City of Girls with like solid 4 stars. I still had some issues with it, but I think if you're looking for a book that is similar to Evelyn Hugo, City of Girls is your best bet, and I would recommend it. And that was really cool, because it was also a book that I got gifted by a friend, and we buddy read it, and that definitely made it even better as a reading experience. So yeah, this was a fun vlog, and it also shows you that you can be very, very wrong with your anticipations. But yeah, I hope you had fun watching this, even though it was all over the place. And yeah, leave a like or nice comment. I always appreciate those. And I will talk to you soon. Bye.